Good evening and thanks for joining us. This is NTD Business and I'm Paul Graney. Trucking companies rush to hire more drivers to meet demand. Some are even raising drivers' wages as much as 40%. But forget about flights and hotels. How about a trip to outer space? Credit cards are now considering new rewards to attract customers. 576,000 new jobless claims that last week. Shockingly high, but actually the lowest since the pandemic began. Retail sales also hotter in March too, no doubt helped by the latest round of stimulus checks. NTD's Arlene Richards has the details.
Latest data shows fewer workers losing their jobs, Americans eager to spend more, and corporate profits getting fatter. On the jobs front, the Labor Department says the number of Americans filing for unemployment for the first time fell last week to 576,000. That's a new post-pandemic low and a sharp drop from the 700,000-plus level they had been stuck at for months. The drop in jobless claims coincides with a strong uptick in retail sales, painting a picture of Americans increasingly willing to shop, eat out, and otherwise spend again as the economy reopens. Sales at stores, car dealers, and restaurants jumped 9.8% in March. It's the biggest gain since retail sales surged by 18% last May. Strong retail sales are a big boost for the U.S. economy, which is mostly driven by consumer spending. Optimism was further lifted by upbeat quarterly earnings. Economic growth is expected to top 7% this year, which would be the fastest since 1984. Arlene Richards, NTD News.
With retail sales up so much, who's going to deliver everything? Trucking companies are struggling to find workers to keep up with demand, so now they're offering more money. NTD's Colin Fredrickson reports.
Trucking companies rushing to hire drivers as demand surges, and many are doing it by raising pay.
Overall pay for drivers has gone up about, from what I understand, about 15% in the last year or so.
The Bureau of Labor Statistics says truck driver median pay was over $47,000 in 2020. That's expected to rise as the lockdowns fade.
It's always been an issue that has been in the industry. It's common. One of the big issues is wages, and we're starting to see some of the companies increase wages in totality.
Knight-Swift Transportation Holdings, the largest truckload carrier in North America, says its pay recently rose by 40%. Meanwhile, Crete Carrier says its pay raises will place 50% of its drivers' average pay at almost $90,000. Another big company, Yellow Corp, recently hired around 2,000 drivers and recently said it plans on opening 12 new academies.
Between March and April of last year, nearly 100,000 driver jobs were shed. During a downturn, you get rid of the drivers you don't need. So when the economy ultimately inflects upward, you have to start that process of finding drivers again.
Experts expect pandemic aid and COVID vaccinations to fuel driver demand. Colin Fredrickson, NTD News.
So retail sales are up almost 10% in March. But domestic production only rose 1.4%. That's after a steep decline in February. That means more imported goods. And they note in California, cargo ships lined up in Oakland stacked with containers. The port reporting record container volumes this month. NTD's David Lamb brings us more.
San Francisco is welcoming an all-time high in port activity. The Port of Oakland says their import volume increased 26% compared to this time last year. For example, ships in Oakland handled on average 1,900 containers per ship in 2020. This year, that number increased to a record-setting 2,500 containers per ship. What's driving the significant volume of imports? More U.S. spending since last summer. The maritime director at the port, Brian Brandes, said Oakland continues to benefit from an unrelenting trade boom. The Oakland port handled over 80,000 import containers this February. It was the busiest February for import cargo in the port's 94-year history. While cargo volume is growing, the number of incoming ships is down 26%. One explanation is that shipping lines are trying to cut costs by fitting more cargo onto fewer ships. The second is the recent congestion at the Southern California ports caused delays, and some ships miss calling into Oakland's port. And many people are turning to online shopping during the pandemic, which also translates to more traffic at the ports. Asian factories are reportedly shipping goods in record numbers to replenish American shelves and assembly lines. Analysts expect a strong import volume to continue through at least mid-year 2021. David Lam, NTD News, California.
More record highs in Wall Street today. The Dow breaking 34,000 for the first time, rising 305 points, 0.9%. S&P 500 gaining 46 points, 1.11%. The Nasdaq adding 181 points, 1.31%. Strong economic data we mentioned earlier may be giving hope the recovery could be accelerating, bolstering investor sentiment maybe. Adding to the optimism, more companies reporting healthy profits. Details on that in just a moment. The bond market, though, remaining notably calm. 10-year Treasury yield retreating today back to 1.54%. Gold, though, up to its highest in more than a month. Oil also rising. And big banks are booming. Bank of America, Citigroup smashing profit estimates last quarter, capitalizing on a volatile and active trading environment and freeing up funds they had set aside to cover bad loans that just didn't materialize. Fred Katamaya reports.
A bottom line bonanza for two more of the biggest U.S. banks reporting results Thursday. Quarterly profit at Bank of America more than doubled. Citigroup's tripled. Like J.P. Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo, BofA and Citi unlocked billions of dollars from their reserves they had set aside to cover potential loan losses stemming from the health crisis. They're betting the rapid vaccinations and massive government stimulus will help the economy bounce back. In a sign of confidence, Bank of America said it plans to buy back $25 billion worth of its shares. But challenges remain. Its consumer banking revenue and net interest income declined. Interest rates remain low, and that eats into the income of lenders like BofA. Loans and lease balances also fell. Like BofA, Citigroup's consumer bank felt the impact of low rates. Loans declined 10% due to lower loan balances on consumer credit cards. Revenue fell as those low rates helped offset higher revenue from investment banking and equity markets. The bank also said it would divest its consumer businesses in China, Australia, India, and 10 other markets in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East. It's the latest move by its new CEO, Jane Fraser, who has launched a strategic review to boost shareholder returns. She said Citi lacked the scale to compete in those markets. Shares of Citigroup rose in early trading Thursday, but BofA fell.
Well, no, the U.S. Postal Service is in financial trouble. Some lawmakers are now proposing new ideas to solve the problem. One idea is to return to postal banking. New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand says the USPS should provide banking services like checking and savings accounts, ATMs, low-interest loans. Not sure the low-interest environment is the best time to do it, but she says the USPS is the only institution that serves every community in the country, and postal banking would give Americans better access to basic financial services and also create much-needed revenue for the Postal Service. The USPS report says the proposal could bring in as much as $9 billion for the Postal Service each year. But banks' commercial divisions aren't enjoying the low interest rate environment, so timing mightn't be great. Lower rates on loans and credit card debt, not great for their bottom lines. Not great for your savings account either. Interest is basically zero. But at least you still have your perks like air miles, hotels. But do you actually use them? What if you could instead pay off your other debts or just donate to charity instead? NTD's Phil Zoe has details on some new rewards programs.
Credit card rewards usually fall into two categories: travel via flights and hotels, or cash back. But what if you could pay off student debt, donate to charity, or invest in cryptocurrency with your rewards?
And I actually can't wait until I actually find the card that offers that.
According to Visa, cardholders may even one day redeem points for a trip to outer space.
There are some rewards programs that are all about sustainability. So things like planting trees, reducing your carbon footprint.
In 2020, 30% of reward cardholders did not redeem their rewards.
If we are spending our money and our time and then the company say, listen, I'm going to help you give to a charity, I would love that.
But one expert says don't tie yourself down.
Just because you believe in the purpose or the cause doesn't always mean that this is the best use of your credit card points.
He says traditional rewards are better because they offer flexibility.
For a lot of people, the best credit card is the simplest. Just get a 2% cashback card and use it for anything. You could use it to lower your bills. You could use it to invest. You could use it to give to charity. I think flexibility is key.
Chelsea Kabarkis just got a new credit card and she agrees.
I'm actually in love with it just because of the simple fact that there's rewards. You can get flights, you can get points for shopping, and you can also just pay back the card with your rewards, so it works out.
More creative rewards include points towards your rent or a down payment on a new home. Phil Zoe, NTD News, New York.
Shop owners in the UK are beginning a new Chapter 2 after multiple lockdowns there. Now, as shops on the high street reopen their doors, retailers hoping to make up for lost time. NTD's Jane Worrell looks at the future of brick and mortar stores in London.
It seems a long time since going shopping, and not just for groceries, a relief for customers and staff.
This time we've really missed talking to people as much as they've missed coming into the bookshops. I think we've been shut in there doing a sort of mail order thing, probably all going slightly mad.
Multiple lockdowns meant shops deemed non-essential were forced to close, driving an increase in online shopping. It's raised the question of the future of bricks and mortar stores. Boarded up shops are a reminder that many didn't make it through the lockdown. For those that did reopen, we may see more integrated online and offline sales, a trend that's increased in recent years.
Many stores will be using themselves as more of a showroom so that people go in, have a look around, even if they end up buying the same item from the store online.
While shopper numbers in London overall were an encouraging sign, some areas like London's financial district have taken a big hit.
We've got lots of members who have shops in tube stations in Canary Wharf, for instance, which has actually been devastated. I do know for a fact that Canary Wharf has opened and the shop's there, and our members are reporting 75% down on trade, and they've only been open a few days.
He says in general the business rates for retailers on the high street makes it difficult too. But there's a sense of optimism that people will come back and walk into stores once again in the coming months.
With COVID, it's accelerated that online shopping presence, and people have got more digital, people are more savvy now to doing that type of work. Do I think that they'll stay there? No, I think people will come back to traditional.
15, 16 people in this shop, 60 people across 9 shops. We're not a big business, and I think you realise how important that, all these little packets of employment are for communities and for other businesses. They all buy coffee, they buy the sandwiches, those things. It's all interlocked. Lockdown and absence of physical shops, for bookshops in particular, has re-established them as really central bits of sort of glue in communities and central places for people to enjoy as a leisure.
Especially for businesses like this bookshop that's been here for 30 years. It's a shopping experience that can't be replicated online. Jane Worrell, NTD News, London.
And Daimler today unveiling the electric version of its flagship luxury sedan is taking the fight to market leader Tesla in the battle for electric vehicle market share.
To launch a new S-Class is always a very big event for this company, an emotional event. But this is really the start of a new era. As you said,
the Mercedes EQS is designed from the ground up as an electric vehicle. The car has a range of nearly 480 miles and a new display screen that can cover almost the entire dashboard. It'll go on sale in Europe and the United States in August and in China in January. Sales of electric and hybrid cars in the EU almost tripled to over 1 million vehicles last year. So that's more than 10% of overall sales. It's picking up. Daimler hasn't revealed pricing for the new car yet. It says that'll come closer to its launch date in the summertime. No sign that the global chip shortage will delay the release of the new Mercedes. Its owner Daimler and its competitors feeling the pinch all year of the shortage, really. The biggest chip maker in the world now saying, TSMC, saying it's doing all it can to increase productivity, alleviate the shortage, but tight supplies will likely continue into next year. Kira Lee reports.
Taiwan's Semiconductor Manufacturing, or TSMC, on Thursday said it's doing all it can to increase productivity and alleviate a worldwide chip shortage. But it warned tight supplies will likely continue into next year. The world's biggest contract chip maker reported a 19.4% rise in first quarter profit off the back of strong chip demand amid a global shift to home working. TSMC, whose clients include Apple and Qualcomm, had already flagged multiple years of growth opportunities as the global health crisis fueled demand for advanced chips to power devices such as smartphones and laptops. Business was boosted by the chip shortage that initially forced automakers to cut production. But it's now also hurting manufacturers of smartphones, laptops and other appliances too. On Thursday, TSMC said it expects the chip shortage for its auto clients to be greatly reduced from the next quarter. TSMC said this month it plans to invest $100 billion over the next 3 years to increase capacity at its plants. Its shares have risen about 16% so far this year and were up over 1% on Thursday.
And big tech under the spotlight, both Facebook and Google. First, Turkey's competition board fining Google over $36 million for abusing its dominant position. It says Google favored its own price comparison and local search services over those of its competitors. Now, within 6 months, Google has to make sure competitors aren't at a disadvantage. They'll also have to report to the board every 5 years on the issue. Google responded saying its search services are designed to meet consumer demand for information, and offering more travel and accommodation options is good for competition. But it does say it will look into the board's decision and keep working on it. And Ireland's Data Protection Commission launching an inquiry into Facebook after reports of a data leak. The dataset reportedly contains personal data from over 500 million Facebook users worldwide. Facebook says malicious actors got the data by scraping profiles using weaknesses in the platform's tool for syncing contacts. The watchdog says it believes the leak infringes on the EU's data protection rules. And it says some of the data was from an older leak that came out before the rules went into effect, but some of the data might be more recent. Facebook says it's fully cooperating too. Still to come. Imagine your iPhone being able to detect COVID one day. Well, Apple is testing it out. And 200 Dutch tourists volunteered to be lockdown guinea pigs. They're spending time at an isolated resort to see if safe vacations can be arranged. That and more coming up on NTD Business.
When the game's over and it's time to go home, sometimes your car has other plans. That's why I drive with CarShield. As expensive as car repairs can be, I wanted the best defense around. And with CarShield's administrators, they make sure that you don't get stuck with expensive car repairs like this. Did I forget to mention that with CarShield's network, I also get 24/7 roadside assistance, towing, and rental car reimbursement included. That's peace of mind every driver needs.
I saved close to $9,000.
If it wasn't for CarShield, I wouldn't have my car.
I gotta tell you, it's quite a relief not to worry about expensive car breakdowns anymore. And with CarShield's administrators, you can choose your favorite mechanic or dealer to do the work. Plus, it's easier than ever to get America's favorite car protection. There's no long-term contracts, and coverage is affordable for every wallet size.
If I didn't have CarShield, I would have been out of pocket $7,000. And as a parent of 3, I couldn't have that.
I trust CarShield administrators because they paid my claim.
Talk about MVP protection for less than the cost of a ball game. Take it from me, the Boomer. Nobody wants to go through the headache of an expensive car breakdown on their own.
If you're driving without a warranty, you have to call CarShield.
Yeah, you do.
So do yourself and your car a favor. Call CarShield. They're your best line of defense against expensive breakdowns.
CarShield administrators paid almost $4,000 for my repairs.
CarShield is wonderful. They saved me $1,300.
With CarShield, I saved $4,100 on my first repair.
Over 1 million happy drivers couldn't be wrong. Call CarShield now.
Protect yourself now against expensive auto repair bills. Call CarShield for a free and instant protection plan quote. Once your car breaks down, it's too late. Call 800-781-2990, 800-781-2990, 800-781-2990.
Apple is trying to find out if your iPhone or Apple Watch can detect COVID-19. The company's teaming up with medical researchers to see if its devices can predict early signs of respiratory illnesses like the flu or CCP virus. Information being collected for the study includes heart rate, blood oxygen, sleep patterns, even hand washing. The 6-month study will use volunteers from the Seattle area. And Lowe's is giving away free tree saplings on April 22nd, only while supplies last though, you gotta be quick. People who want to have one have to register online starting today. The sapling giveaway is part of the chain's Spring Fest. The event also features in-store and online demos and a butterfly house giveaway on April 29th. Sounds nice. And almost 200 Dutch tourists are trading lockdown at home for a vacation at a holiday resort in Greece. But there's a catch. Maha Al-Bouwami has the story.
Around 200 Dutch tourists arrived on the Greek island of Rhodes on Monday, trading lockdown at home for 8 days at a beach resort, while they'll enjoy access to the hotel's pool, restaurants, and other facilities. The catch? That's all they'll have access to. No long walks on the beach, no mingling with other guests closer than 5 feet, and at least 5 days of quarantine upon return. This isn't just a holiday on the island of Rhodes. It's an experiment organised by tour operator Sunweb and the Dutch government to see if safe holidays can be arranged for the Greek tourism industry, which has been hit so badly in the last year.
It feels very strange to be here right now, but really excited to go on holiday.
Despite the restrictions, demand was high. Around 25,000 people signed up in the hope of getting a $475 ticket to the place called the Midseas Grand Hotel Beach Resort. Sunweb spokesperson Martijn Langerak hopes the experiment will pave the way for tourism to reopen.
We all hope to go on holiday soon with less restrictions. But till then, we have to do the tests and we have to follow our restrictions. So we are happy to be here and to gain insights so we can share it with the whole travel industry. So hopefully we can go travel like maybe normal very soon.
Locals on Rhodes have responded with mixed feelings. The Deputy Mayor for Tourism said it was a step forward, while others told Reuters that it didn't help the businesses outside the resorts, such as local restaurants.
It's a whole new world. That's the latest business updates for today. You can still catch NTD Evening News with Stephanie Cox. That's at 6:30 p.m. Eastern. For NTD Business, that's all for today. Thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow.
We have a new channel. Subscribe to us on YouTube at NTD News. Get the highlights of our news broadcast and the most important headlines that we curate especially for you.
Don't miss out on important news. Our videos are being deleted. So if you don't want to be cut off from honest news, take a moment to sign up for our newsletter at newsletter.ntd.com so you don't lose access to NTD. Go to newsletter.ntd.com to sign up for our evening newsletter.